Well, when I was growing up, I guess just like school, it was very difficult for me to sit down and maybe study music. So it was the thing that got me into the guitar were all these guitar players that were coming around and just wanting to get into that music. So the way I develop technique and learn how to do things is just putting the records on, playing along with them. I remember particular records. I mean, as early on as picking up a riff from the Beatles. I think the first riff I ever learned was. And then as time went on, you would learn different riffs. You started getting the blues riffs from guys like Clapton, and I would hear these things and just try to emulate, just picking up the riffs. And basically, I'm a flat picker. For many years, I basically used a flat pick. Now I'm trying to finger pick a little bit more, but for a lot of my playing, I still, for lead playing, will use a flat pick. And so it's basically, the pressure that you apply on the pick, and you develop a technique, you know when to really lay into it for a certain sound or just lay off of it. And then you might want to do more of a harmonic sound. So there's different pressure that you could apply on the pick, or just where you. And if you use it live. So there's just different ways you could apply the pick to get different sounds, different variations of that. Now I'm doing some more, in some of the writing, I'm doing a little bit more finger picking, and also using my fingers more for slide. I basically didn't play much slide until I started playing with Sheryl Crow, and found myself using different open tunings, D or G with Sheryl. And even now, after leaving Sheryl, I started to do some writing for open tunings, and then for standard tuning, I might apply slide differently. Right now, I'm tuning in just a standard tuning for guitar. So I have found that for more single note runs and more where you're just playing a melody and not doing chordal things, I tend to like to use my fingers more in picking. And there's a bit of sort of a continuity between muting and getting each note out. So if I'm on standard tuning like this, I tend to use glass, and it sort of rings a certain. So it's a combination of getting a certain vibrato on the slide. You can get those in-between notes where you're bringing the note up, which I like to do a lot. And I'm basically using these two fingers. And what I'll do, since I'm switching back and forth, I developed this technique, again, not thinking about it. It was just sort of an easy way to do it. I just started developing, sliding the pick in between my fingers and switching to my fingertips. And then so I developed a technique of flipping the switch, the pick back and forth into my fingers without even realizing it. Some people had pointed it out to me when they saw me playing, and I said, it's kind of cool how you just flip the pick between your fingers and switch back and forth. And I said, I never even thought of it. It was just out of necessity of wanting to do both. So again, in standard tuning, I'll tend to use my fingers more because it's more single line type of thing. I would say some influences are on slide guitar would definitely be Ry Cooder, Duane Allman. I mean, it goes back to the days of hearing Delta players like Robert Johnson incorporate slide. So it's been a mixture of things. Again, slide wasn't something I started with, and now I'm doing more of it. And there's always the open tuning, which I don't have an open tuning guitar right now, which I'll tend to play more chordal and more with a pick.